Here we are again, Sophia,
Here we are.
fulfilling our promise to meet again for another interview. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to speak, just to touch on that tangled web of relationships.
Thank you. Thank you, Danuta, for having me again. It's such a joy to be together. And our relationship, speaking about relationship this morning, our relationship, it's really precious. It has that chemistry and everything. It feels beyond the two of us as people, that it's precious, it's rare, and I'm very grateful for it. So I guess this is a good introduction to
Yes.
talking about
I
relationship.
think if we were to characterize it in one word, meaningful.
You're right. It's
I
meaningful.
think we help each other and inspire each other to grow.
Yes,
This is what
yes.
I want to talk about.
And I love your keyword about our relationship. It's meaningful, and this is actually something when talking about relationships in general. Um, Meaning connects to authenticity.
Yes, I will ask you about this.
Okay, how real we can be, how
Yes.
ourselves we can be to connect with one another. And
Yes.
yes, so let's start.
The phrase no man is an island is a very powerful metaphor that highlights the fundamental interconnectedness of human beings. It suggests that no one can truly live in isolation. Everyone is part of a larger social fabric. We rely on each other for social support, for emotional support. Relationships are at the heart of everything. Sophia, I remember one of my first interviews when I first came to Canada over 20 years ago. There was this question that I still remember because I loved it. The interviewer said, if someone told you we have to climb that mountain, what would you say? Who else is coming? How do we get there? Or, okay, let's do it. Let's go. I had no hesitation when I said, who else is coming? No hesitation at all. I don't know if there is a good or uh, wrong answer because I can think of both positives and negatives for every choice. But this is what I answered. So, like I said, relationships are at the heart of everything, and cultivating a positive life starts with strong relationships. There are people who thrive with many connections. They need to have 1,000 friends. Others find fulfillment in just a few strong, intimate relationships. I think that the quality of the relationships is more important than the quantity. Of course, it's helpful to have a large network of acquaintances for social and professional opportunities, but deep, meaningful connections are more impactful on our well being and on our mental and emotional health. So, just how important is it for everybody to have meaningful connections?
Yes, so beautifully presented, Danuta. So absolutely, we all know it. On one level, we know it that we are not alone. We are not disconnected. The island metaphor that you use, the way I personally view it, is that we are each cells in the body, and we are our own cell, as tiny as insignificant we might seem. We have our significance, and at the same time, if we take the cell outside the body to be on its own, to be disconnected, to be separated from the whole body, it cannot last very long, and definitely cannot thrive, and it cannot even meet its purpose, its meaning, and its function, right? So this interconnectedness It's very important, and it's such a difficult thing to balance, to navigate, because we need relationships. We are part of this whole body, and without the other cells, again, we it's hard to even survive. And at the same time, we have this perception of being separate, of being on my own. So in this dance, in this attempts to navigate relationships, we constantly get trapped between Gabor Mate used to say that we trade authenticity for attachment. So we early on in life we try to learn what do I need, because relationships are so significant, and the earlier the more we feel that it's actually a life and death, it's a survival matter. The baby cannot really survive without being taken care of in the first couple of years of life. So then we use everything to figure out what is it that I need to be, what is it that it's expected of me, what is it that I have to do, to say, to behave, to be accepted, to have this connection. So then we start letting go of who we are. We came into this world to be more and more for what we figure out, we think that it is needed, it is wanted, it is expected of me to be. So in this process, I learned to give away more and more and more, to the point of forgetting who I really am, who I came into this world to be, who I was created to be, giving away to be able to have this connection, to have ultimately what we all seek in one way or the other. It's love. But this love, even the definition of it, even the concept of it, becomes skewed, becomes whether just a concept or a misunderstanding of what love is. So it becomes soon this trading, this marketplace in relationships with others, where it's about giving and taking and receiving, and what do I need to give to get what I need, and what you can get me so I can like you. So then we use love as a weapon, in a way, as a trading, a currency, a trading to get, and to get, so to the point of whether giving ourselves too much and losing ourselves, disconnecting more and more from who we are, or the other way around, where we, um, as they say, we are too self-centered, too much focused on what I need, on what I want, and too much shielding ourselves from and in fear as opposed to love. Fear constricts, fear closes, fear to the point of ultimately living in this life like in a coffin, versus love. It's opening, it's expanding, it's connecting, it's embracing, right? So these two states, love versus fear, in different colors of shapes, color the way we relate to others, right? So talking about the meaning that you're saying, meaningful relationships, and being authentic, being me, being real, without masks, without pretending, without playing roles, without just being. And this is what we have. It's a real gift. There are very few relationships, if any, that we have the privilege where I can, as we say, I can be myself. Whatever I say, whatever I do, doesn't mean that we harm one another. It doesn't mean that we disconsider one another. It means that with that space of love, actually, that we share, there is freedom. There are less constrictions, no fears. I can be, and quite often that's enough. That's enough to fill that space with being together.
Yes. A lot of people are afraid that they don't fit in, right?
Mhm.
You said they want to change, to be like somebody else. I think what's most important is to find someone or a group where to belong. I don't want to change who I am just to fit in or to be accepted by someone. So if I have a meaningful connection with you, it means you accept me for who I am. You accept me with love. I can be myself and I belong here.
Yeah.
We belong together.
Yeah. And this is another dance that we don't know much about. Nobody's really teaching us how to dance it, how to navigate it. And it goes back to the same, like how real can I be, how much I can be me, the way I am, and how much I have to trade that to and become a chameleon just to fit in, right? And it connects back to the place where we are coming from, the place of fear that I don't fit in, that I don't belong, that I won't be accepted, that I won't be loved, that I won't be liked, that I won't be valid, that I don't mean anything for others. And if I have that feeling, then out of that place of fear, I would do anything that I've learned that might work for me to feel differently, right? So from that place of not feeling secure inside of me, then one way or another, whether I'm acting out or even being nice, this niceness this thing, sometimes we confuse it for being good or kind, but nice often comes from fear, actually. It's disconnecting from ourselves. It's like I'm not really me. I don't, but I'm being nice. So I don't create waves. I avoid conflict because I wouldn't know how to manage that, right? So the need to belong versus to say, okay, in any relationships, the number one companion is ourselves.
The most
The
important
most
relationship
important, right? Well, I would say personally, I would say the most important is with
is
self on the vertical axis. But yes, this is number one, day and night. No matter how far away I travel, no matter where I go, I carry myself with me. And this is often the most dismissed relationships. The even when we are kind, even when we are loving with others, for some reasons the hardest person to be kind and patient and loving with is ourselves, right? But when we bring ourselves back in the proper alignment, knowing that not from a position of self-centeredness, or I'm the most important and I'm self-centered and I'm narcissistic, as they say, not from, because that's not a real relationship. That's also coming from fear. It's the same as I show arrogance and superiority, when in fact that is just a mirror of how small I feel, right? So self-centeredness comes also from fear. But this turning around, okay, what's my relationship with myself? Because if I don't have a healthy, aligned relationship with me, then I lose myself. I might please everyone else around, but I feel disconnected. I feel that I'm never good enough. I feel far away from me. I lose myself, right? So the number one relationship, it is with me, that alignment, that security of knowing that I am who I am. And that's the only thing I need to be. That's the most that I need to be. And this is the starting place. And from this place of love, not self love as self indulgence, or self love as self alignment, of this space where, yes, here I am. This is me. And I am in the state of openness, of love rather than fear. And from this place, I relate to others. And others are a mirror of that, are an expansion of that. Because often in relationship, we make the other person as, you are the object of my affection, of my love. So then you are literally an object, like when we used to play with dolls when we were kids, and I make you into what I need you to be, what I want you to be, and if you don't give up of who you are to be what I want you to be, then it's not going to work. And again, I'm trading my affection and love to make you, to turn you into what I want you to be, right? So, and then when it's not working, then just like a little kid, I throw tantrum and say, okay, I don't talk to anybody anymore. I don't want to have anything to do with anybody anymore. And then I disconnect. As they say, I take my toys and I leave, right? And then I still relate to others. In my thoughts, in my world, I still have dialogues. I still have conversations with others, although I might be on my own and alone through my own choice. Right? So this dance between how much I allow myself to be who I am in truth, and how much I am being with others, allowing ultimately others to be what they are, as they are, they have the full right, and at the same time allowing me to be what I am. So no need to change others, to make them our dolls or our playing toys. No need. We give them back the right to be what they are, even with their, I don't know what we see, weaknesses or negativity. They are being what they are. And at the same time, if that space it's not healthy, it's not aligned with me, it is actually my responsibility to choose. I learned many years ago from one of my friend's mom. She told me very simple, like, Sophie, always remember there are two kinds of people in this world. People that you are going to like for what they are, people that you are not going to like them for what they are. Either way, you let them be. Right? You don't change them. People are not going to change. You let them be as they are, and equally you let yourself be. Not right or wrong about anybody, but an equal right you give to yourself. I am being and I'm choosing. And just like we see in chemistry, substances, and in the world, some things have a natural closer connection. They match. They are even on the same frequency or different frequencies, right? Same frequency, like goes to likes, as they say, right? And it's my responsibility to choose what feels right to me without expecting, without demanding that others will change so they would fit, or I would change so I would fit.
Do you know what Sadhguru said?
Yes.
When people complain to him, I can't get along with my coworkers, my boss, my whoever. He said, well, if you expect everybody to be a good person, you must go to heaven.
Sorry.
It's true.
Heaven, actually, we can be right here on earth. We can be in heaven based on what is inside of us. If we are inside in the state of heaven, we spread heaven around.
True.
If we are inside in a constant state of turmoil and fight and helplessness and expecting others to save us from our own hell, it cannot happen, right? But we really attract not so much what we want, but what we are.
Need.
What we are.
What we are. It's true.
What we are, right? So
it's true.
So it's true that in the world there are people and people and through the circumstances and all of this, there is lots of we are going to talk about isolation and loneliness and disconnect, and there is lots of that because of different factors, including the pandemic had a huge contribution in that, where people got more and more disconnected, separated, being one individual level rather than forgetting that whether we are aware of it or not, we are together in this boat of life. And I learned many years ago about different stages. Like in psychology, we talk about different developmental stages from the little child growing into the mature adult. And one classification from the native Indians, American native Indians, they see the development in terms of the first stage is the stage of dependency. Is the first years of life where, of course, the child is dependent on the caregivers, on those around to be able to survive, first of all. So that's where attachment, there is a theory called attachment theory, right? So we depend on others and then we try to navigate that and to learn what's working. Then, starting with adolescence, we move into the independence, right? Where we spread out our wings, we cut the emotional, mental umbilical cord. The physical one was cut at birth. And so before I thought, okay, there is dependence and then independence, but I didn't personally think any further. Well, in the native culture, there is the ultimate third stage of interdependence, right? So after you spread out your wings, you create your own life, you define yourself of who you are, and you find your way in the world, then you come back to the connectedness, to
We need each
realizing
other. Yes.
exactly.
You were speaking about the pandemic. What happened during the pandemic? The world has gone mad. There are so many angry people, unkind people today. I'm sad to say that, but it's true. Everybody can attest to this. I think people who are so miserable, who have poison in them, they are like this because they don't have love in their lives. I truly believe this. But I also believe that we need to love everybody, especially those who deserve it the least. This is how we can help them, right? What are, Sophia, some effective ways when we're dealing with this kind of people to maintain boundaries without compromising our own values? In other words, how can we have how can we make arguments more constructive than destructive?
Mm,
We want to make everything better, not worse.
that's right. And I loved how you started about love being actually the best medicine. And I remember a little story about that. A doctor actually giving this prescription to a patient, right, coming with relationship difficulties. Like, okay, give more love. So the person comes back like it didn't work. Well, then increase the dose. So love it's truly the most powerful medicine, and if it doesn't work, then it means it's not the right dose. At the same time, yes, you're right. So people are in their own space, in their own world, and that world could have a little love in it, or a little opening towards love. It's not that there is no love around, because there is, just like there is the sun around and there are the clouds around, and the weather is the way it is, with different variations. There is love, but how open we are to that, and giving and receiving, it's one. It's not only giving love, it's not only receiving love. It's like a river that flows, and it's the same thing. It's giving and receiving, it's part of the same equation, right? So when we give love, it's not so much about giving or receiving, it's about being love, right? So again, it's not a currency, it's not a coin to give or to receive. But if I am in that space, and that space is here because often the misunderstanding with love is that I believe that everything I need, including love, it's out there. Somebody has to love me, somebody, and then I have to earn it. I have to, again, it's the marketplace that we are engaging in, right? Versus love, it's not just an emotion, it's not just a feeling, it's not a currency, it's a state of being.
If you have it in yourself, someone will, let's say, activate it in you, but you have to have it.
And we all have it.
We
We
do.
all have it, right? That's our primary nature, right? That before the clouds and the mask came in. Now, what you are also asking, it's about, so when people are disconnected from themselves, they are in their own world that might feel very filled with turmoil and negativity and everything that it's in there, and that disconnects them from others, from the flow of life, including from love, right? It's the place of fear primarily. But then we were saying earlier that it's our job to keep the boundaries. Loving doesn't mean that we give ourselves in. Again, it's not niceness. Love is not niceness. It's being what you are, secure, aligned, regardless the weather outside, right? We were talking earlier before our interview, like to not to have boundaries towards people that are in a negative space with themselves. It's like going outside naked at minus 40 degrees and expecting and being upset with the weather. Why am I freezing to death? Because so it's our responsibility to dress appropriately, right, including in relationship. And there are again there are each of us, but there are people that are predominantly in a very negative space, and that has lots of power of contamination, sometimes even more power than it feels than love. It doesn't have more power, but it feels that way. Like it's like a dark cloud that you enter that space, and it feels like you, before being able to pinpoint what it feels that it's taking you over as well. Right. So in that case, again, boundaries are very important, and boundaries are a self responsibility. I cannot stress this enough, because we cannot expect others to save us from them or from ourselves. Right? So it's me to say, just like we choose the food, we choose
I
the
have to
drinks,
write this down. Sorry. This is very, very good.
because
We can't expect others.
so
Say it again, please.
so we cannot like, let's say suppose we have enemies, suppose, right? I cannot expect my enemy to protect me against themselves. It's not their job. It's not in their power. They can't do that. It's an impossible mechanism. It's not working, right? But it's my job. It's my job to choose, just like I choose the drink that I drink, the food that I eat, the air with the pollution or not, where I choose to dress well according to the weather. I choose. It's a self responsibility. It's a self, and love goes hand in hand with self responsibility. I cannot put the expectations in the hands of others and then keep them liable for not doing what's right for me, what's good for me. No, that's my job, right? So it's my job to stay aligned with myself. It's my job to choose what fits me, what's right for me, what connects with me, what gives me life versus depletes me of life. It's my job. And I have to take that. And when I do that, again, in reverse, when I relate to others, I am more willing to release that place of marketplace of, okay, you have to be what I want you to be. You have to meet my expectations. You have to, why are you not doing that? Because I'm doing that for everyone. That's a little drama that we get caught up in, and it doesn't lead us anywhere, right? It leads us to disconnect and separation, right? But when I do that, and again, it's not selfishness, it's self-responsibility. I am responsible for my own well-being. I'm responsible for my physical health. I'm responsible for my emotional, mental, spiritual health. It's my job. It's not my husband's job. It's not my kid's job. It's not my best friend's job. And this is the thing with the closest relationship. That's where it becomes the trickiest, because just because you are significant, maybe the most significant for me, then you're supposed to be what I want you to be, what I need you to be. And that's not right, because we demand for others to not to be what they are, but to be the doll that we turn them into what we want them to be. Exactly, exactly. So boundaries again, just like it's my job, if the weather is -40 outside, to dress appropriately so I'm not harmed, I'm not frozen. In relationships, if I stay aligned with myself, not from fear, but from inner security, from inner honesty, actually, right? Like I need to be honest with myself, not to pretend, not to, no, is this right for me? Is this good for me? If not, don't eat it, don't eat McDonald's, don't. It could be as simple as that, but it's not others' job, it's ours.
Yes. I think everybody experiences one or more fractured relationships in their life. Um, and I don't want to speak about love, romantic relationships generally. People grow, they evolve, and sometimes they outgrow certain relationships as their needs, interests, or life situations change. How do you feel about the idea that, let's talk about friendships, that some friendships are only meant for certain seasons of life? Is it okay to put some distance between us and certain friends?
Yes, it's not only okay, but it's part of honesty, of being honest with ourselves and with others. So instead of pretending that it's supposed to be what it's not, being honest. And it's okay, just as it's okay when we no longer wear the dress or the clothes that we used to wear when we are 5 years old or 15 or 20 years old. We grow. And with us growing, others are growing and relationships are changing, right? So on one hand, it's important to, again, staying aligned with ourselves, staying honest, completely honest with ourselves. Okay, what is it? What fits and doesn't feel? Like, what's the point to try to fit myself into that little tiny dress that I used to love when I was 5? I don't fit anymore. It doesn't fit me. So I rather break the dress, or I cannot breathe trying to squeeze myself into it, right? If it doesn't, and the body will tell us, again, there is that expression, the body keeps the score. The body tells us that it's something is off, it doesn't fit. Now, with that, we also have to apply caution, knowing that I can throw out all my wardrobe and nothing fits me anymore. And then I don't like anything, and again, disconnect myself and isolate myself. Or I can see, okay, in this relationship, what's really happening? Because we carry in relationships, we carry within us old patterns. We carry our history, our relationship history, starting with the primary relationships, our parents and our family of origin and our siblings. And in those relationships early on, there were set some patterns of relating. And with those patterns, those dynamics, we also have vulnerable points. And when those vulnerable points, although we change the actors, we try to change the scene, and then those vulnerable points, unless we heal them, they are going to act and hurt again and again. And then to the point where we try to avoid pain altogether. And again, I'm isolating myself, I'm disconnecting because I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to handle that pain again that keeps coming back again. So it's part of our, again, self responsibility in love is healing. To heal, and especially the patterns that I notice that no matter how many actors I change, I still tend to get upset about the same thing. My buttons are pushed about the same thing all over again, and nobody's changing. Somewhere we have to make a U-turn and look in the right direction. So if that's the case, when we notice that, it's like, okay, let me do my part in healing that. The other people are signaling me, are putting a mirror in front of me to show me that, okay, somewhere it's hurting again and again and again. Well, maybe there is time to pay attention to that and give it a chance to heal. And if I'm healing and nothing is changing outside, then again, it's a two-way street. Relationships are a two-way street, right? So it's okay to move forward. It's okay to constantly adapt.
You don't want to be the only one to do the heavy lifting
And
in a
it's
relationship.
we don't do the heavy lifting for the relationship, even we do it for ourselves. And the more we take the ownership of our own part, the better we are. Because if we are healing, we are healthier. We cannot heal instead of somebody else. But if I'm healed, then I give healing versus woundedness. Right? And often, again, those wounds that are coming from the origin, we forget about them. We are not aware most of the time where they are coming from, but they are there. And everything builds on top of that. So again, is this balancing, this dance between what belongs to me, and if it belongs to me, whatever belongs to me, I take the ownership. It's in my hands. I take the responsibility for that. And at the same time, letting go and freeing and not stealing, not taking what doesn't belong to me, right? If I take something that does not mine, it's called stealing, including other people's issues and troubles and problems and negativity. I don't take it. I don't fill my hands with it trying to save anybody for my own sake, ultimately. But just like I give the right for everyone to be what they are, as they are, giving myself the right to be that, I also take only what belongs to me and take it fully and release. Let go, give back what doesn't belong to me. And there is freedom.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then there is freedom. Sophia, our lives have been virtualized for years, which makes people more and more unable to form meaningful relationships. We are digitally connected, it's true. We speak with people all over the planet, but these are not real life connections, and they cannot replace human interaction. People, I noticed, especially young people today, don't know how to start relationships. They don't know how to start conversations, even. How does this impact the development of emotional intelligence in relationships? And how does it impact the authenticity of this relationship and the ability to form meaningful relationships?
Yeah, it is a reality, the virtual reality, and it's a huge escape, right? Like we no matter the age, we escape. We escape on television, we escape on the internet, we escape life. Right? I remember my kids when they were younger, and I was very strong about this electronic policies in our family. And at one point, I got so frustrated. I felt that this electronic world, it's literally kidnapping like it's kidnapping them from life because nothing could compete with this virtual world. And this virtual world, everybody knows it's not real. It's a fantasy, just like movies on TV. They're not our real life. But it's so easy to be pulled in there to the point where it's very hard, and especially for children or young people, it's very hard, even in the brain, in the mind, to keep the distinguish, the separation, to realize what's real and what is it a fantasy, what is it virtual, right? So this ability to make the distinguish, to distinguish between them, distinctions, sorry, becomes very hard. And also for the young generation, they lose on the chance of developing skills. right? Like there were some interesting studies during COVID time or after COVID time, seeing that the young kids that had to wear the masks, younger they were during that time, they didn't have the chance to actually developmentally learn how to read the facial expressions, how to read, which is very much part of communication, the non-verbal communication. It's much stronger, much more powerful than the verbal one, than the words that we are speaking, right? So we speak through our body. So those communication skills.
Sorry, it
Yes.
doesn't matter what you say, your body doesn't lie.
Exactly, right. So it's true that we also, even as adults, we lose those abilities of connecting, and also we retract in fear once again. Why? Because we feel more and more incompetent. Kids feel more and more incompetent to relate to one another in person directly, because it's like, why, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to say. I don't. So then the anxiety comes in, the social anxiety to an extreme comes in. And then, of course, what do we do as a reaction? We avoid more and more and more. We disconnect more and more, to the point of, again, being completely separate, although we know that we are part of this all togetherness. So this is a reality. This is a reality, unfortunately. How do we deal with that? First of all, becoming aware of it, just like when we are daydreaming or being lost in a movie for hours, and instead of doing the work that I want to do and waking up, like, wake up, this is just a movie, this is not life. And constantly choosing life, stepping back into life. And this is not just the virtual world, but our own world, our own mind world, and the constructions and the narratives that we constantly build in our mind, that pull us away from reality. What does reality mean? It's what is right here, right now, and coming back again and again. And talking about relationships, you're talking that we have relationships with others. We have the primary relationship that we have to consider, the relationship with ourselves, and we have the relationship with life itself. Right? So how we relate to life, how much we say yes to life as life is, and how much we avoid life, we escape, we run away, we try to get it over with. That affects, again, all the other relationships from there, right? So a simple yet hard to follow solution from this virtual world, is to be aware and come back to life again and again and again, being right here, right now. And that takes practice again.
Yes, it does. I just wish young people knew how to do that. I just wish they knew.
Um, Once again, we teach by what we are. By doing that, by inviting ourselves first back into life, back into right here, right now, into reality, and then inviting them. Because with the virtual world, in truth, all this electronics and games and virtual world, it's the best, most efficient babysitter, right? So
Mm,
parents,
unfortunately.
it is what it is. Parents who are overworked, overwhelmed, and they cannot, first of all, manage it all. And everybody needs some time to just breathe, or not even breathe, but do your work without being, distracted constantly and pulled in all directions. So then, if I come home from work and I can just take care of everything and prepare the dinner, while the kids, I don't have to mind them, they don't have to mind me, and I pretend that I don't know that they are on electronics, then it seems to be working for everyone as a break, as an escape. But that escape, prolonged day by day, that's what it builds.
It's a way of
And
life
everybody
now.
gets lost in there.
Yes,
So it's not easy.
yes. I was telling you before the interview that I would like to speak about something that will help people. And you said, yes, we're not here to show what we know, we're here to help people. So I'm not speaking about happy relationships, I'm speaking about the ones that need help. There are so many lonely people today, so many lonely people. I can't believe it. It's a modern, loneliness is a modern malady. It affects the blood pressure. It raises the blood pressure. It's linked to Alzheimer's disease, to type 2 diabetes, to cardiovascular disease, to anxiety and depression. And now I read that it can only be painful, that it activates the same neural networks as physical pain.
Yes.
I didn't know that. That was shocking to me.
Yes, it's loneliness. It might be actually, and there are lots of studies on this, medical studies on this, on the literally deadly impact of loneliness, right? So loneliness, and there is a difference between being alone
And being lonely.
and loneliness, right? Because you can be alone and you can be in your own presence, and we often need that space where we are the only companion to ourselves.
I need my solitude.
Yes, we all need it. We
For
all need it.
me,
Yes.
a large group of people is called no thanks. I need to be by
Yes,
myself.
yes, yes.
But
To
like you said
recharge.
before, you need to enjoy your own company, first of all.
Yes, yes. So you'll talk about being alone, but now the loneliness, yes, it's deadly where it prolongs your life. So in it could lead in depression, in clinical depression, it could lead to suicide actually, but also recovery from illness, recovery from cancer. All studies show that this factor of how connected or disconnected, of how the best predictor of mental health in somebody's life is the number of good quality relationships. So
Relationships.
not lots, but good, meaningful, as you're saying, quality relationships, right? Recovery from cancer in old age. Loneliness, it's really deadly. That's why after one spouse death, the other one, if it's not connected to a good social network, it's not going to last for very long. At the same time, there are studies on happiness showing that in cultures where there is the longest longevity, and not only longevity but the quality of life,
Mm.
they are in cultures where, like Greece or Caribbeans, where there is that connection, there is that togetherness, rather than in the northern countries, which are very well developed economically. But this separation, this loneliness, really plays a big factor. So for health, for well-being, for happiness, and for life or death. So it's big now. How do we address that? What do we do about that? Um, it still goes back to everyone's choice and using that power of choice. How, if there is a synonym that I would personally give to the word of love, is openness. How open, how open you allow yourself to be with others, or how much you shut yourself down, you close yourself again to the point of still being alive, but living in a coffin, a self made coffin, right? So, this navigation, this dance between openness, expanding, allowing yourself to be, allowing others to be what they are, that in one way or another, everybody has a role. Like you're saying about friendships being longer or shorter. Everybody has a role, has a purpose, even for a brief moment. Even, and we have these encounters that with people that we will never meet again. And it has, at that time, everybody comes in our life for a good reason.
Maybe some of these beautiful people watching us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Whether directly or indirectly, it's still a connection. And I truly believe in synchronicities, and nothing happens by coincidence. But everything, in a way, despite of our thinking about it, our perception about it, everything actually is the way it needs to be. And it is beneficial to us, even when it comes in the mirror of showing us what we don't like, or showing us what we need to outgrow or to develop in us, right? It's still a feedback, it's still a mirror. So loneliness, it is, despite of how it seems like, it is a choice. And it is coming again, once again, out of fear or out of, okay, we are in this boat together for a very brief period of time, no matter how many years in this life, and allowing ourselves to engage with it, to experience what is as it is, just like we engage and relate to life. Mhm. And at the same time, again, loneliness doesn't equate with alone. Right, so we all need, and this is very important. It's once again part of the self responsibility. No matter how busy, no matter how fast I'm running to this treadmill that I create in my life, I need, just like I put the phone to charge. And no matter how expensive the phone is, I need to let it charge and be still charging to be able to be of any use. I need to be still. I need to be with myself, even 20 minutes a day. If ideally I would have those 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes midday, and 20 minutes at bedtime to give what's called me time. Me time, when we say this, feels like, oh, I don't know, self-centered
Selfish.
or selfish. No, it's
I
time
say
with
it
me.
almost every day. I need my me time.
Yes, because if we don't give it, then again, we are not giving ourselves the chance to align with ourselves, and we give outside what we are inside. So when I give it to myself, in extension, I give it to others. I am a better presence. I am calmer. I'm more centered. I'm more open, rather than constantly sacrificing myself and not doing my part in it, but then being resentful to others. Why constantly do something for others and they never give me the chance to be, they don't do things in return. And again, the same game, the same drama, the same play that runs all over again, and it's very exhausting for others, but it doesn't lead to anything good.
I think that lonely people should do two things. First of all, forgive the ones that you have to forgive because you are lonely. I am sure somebody is lonely because they didn't forgive somebody for doing something. And the second one is because they are afraid. They are afraid that they are afraid of failure. I want to connect to that person, but I'm afraid the connection won't happen.
Or it won't
my
happen in my terms.
my terms, yeah. Excuse me. Mike Dooley said that every fear is a gift and every gift needs unwrapping. I love Mike Dooley. So I think everybody should think about this. Who have you not forgiven? Think about it.
Yes, so forgiveness is it's a big one. um, and forgiveness is also, we have to be aware that it's not for the sake of others, it's for my own sake, because whatever it is that I'm not forgiving, it's in me. I'm holding on to that, and whatever damage was done, whatever harm was done to me, that was done and it belongs to the other person. But what I keep doing with what was done to me, it's my own doing. It belongs to me. And not even the other person that wronged me or harmed me can free me from that. So forgiveness is, I set you free, so I set myself free. And I don't set you free because you deserve it or you don't deserve it. But I deserve to be free. It's like you keep a big black elephant in your own house and you don't have time, space to breathe or to put the furniture that you want because no, I have to hold on to this so I won't forget what was done to me. Now, why do we do this? Why do we hold on to the black elephant? It's because, again, a fear. We feel vulnerable. We feel the need to protect ourselves, right? We feel that if I let go of this, I won't know how to protect myself in the future, and then I will be harmed again. But it's not the right mechanism, right? So it's not working. It just keeps us again shielded in that coffin that we keep putting more and more nails into it, right? But setting free, I set you free. I cannot take away what the other person did. That's not my part. That's not my doing. What they did belongs to them, and it's between them and themselves, right? But to use that to keep harming myself with that, that's self-harm and it's my doing, right? So I set you free. So I set myself free. I take the elephant, black elephant outside my living room, free my house because that's what I'm living, right? And in that way comes also security and inner strength because it does take strength to be able to free ourselves and to free others.
Sophia, as usual, you have exceptional insight. I want to thank you for speaking so beautifully about relationships in a world that craves genuine connection. I just want, I would like everybody to make better relationships because better relationships will make a better world. That's for sure.
We make a better world for ourselves first, right?
Yes.
We is the world that we each live in, is the world that we create. And whatever we create through our choices, including others, that's the world where we live in. Like we have this common world, this big body that we all live in, but ultimately we live in our own self-created world. And whatever we choose, whether we choose to have a healthy, aligned relationship with myself, with life, say yes to life in life's terms, and at the same time to choose what's in my power to choose, and to open up the space, just like we open up our house. We have big houses nowadays and everything, and to open up my inner house. Come on, you are invited here. You are a guest here, only a guest, and we are guests in everybody else's houses, inner house. We respect that. We have no power of choice. We have in somebody else's house. We cannot go and dictate what's supposed to be there. I'm a guest, and others are guests in my own house. I say yes or no to whom I open the door with, right? And it's my job to open the door to what's healthy and right for me. And at the same time, to the people that I have the chance to feel that connection, to feel that even chemistry, we're being on the same wavelength, to give it a chance. I love this quote where it says that if you want to make a friend, and I think this is the quote we are going to end with, if you want to make a friend, you have to close one eye. If you want to keep a friend, you have to close both eyes.
So beautiful. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you again.
Thank you, Danuta. Thank you, everyone, for being with us. And I hope that parts of our dialogue together, it was very meaningful for the two of us, but parts of it will touch everyone in their own very personal way with what everybody needs to receive and to see more clearly at this time. So hopefully we all meet in a space of love inside out, and share this experience together, which is very rich,
Yes.
very abundant. Thank you,
Thank
Danuta.
you. Thank you, Sophia.